Oh God!
Yeah, so I'll do the first verse, and then you come in with the first verse. So it's like a round, and then by the end of it, we'll all be singing different verses. All of us.
Right. Okay. Is there like a count-in, or
I don't know,
lead on
because
this?
obviously they're going to do the Christmas lights first, right? So Oxford Street's going to be there.
Oh wow, yeah.
They're going to do the lights, and then we're going to come on. Me, you, Sting, and Shaggy.
Yep.
And we're going to do the rounds of We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Then.
Okay, that makes sense. Do we have to mention the fact that obviously Dean Gaffney couldn't make it to do the Christmas lights this year? Do we have to mention that he pulled out and we're filling in?
We have to mention that, but I don't think we have to mention that they then approached Barry from EastEnders before they came to us.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't want people. I don't mind. It should have gone to him if anything. But obviously, Barry is much busier than we are, and famously would do it for a lot more.
But I'll tell you what, the good thing is, is they paid in advance. So they sent through our payment, which was a bag with 2 letters in it. Says Dork on the side. Welcome back, everyone, to Down With Boring, the only podcast you're listening to right now.
It's true. That's a famous fact. We're here once again. You may have thought, look, the year's dying out. Maybe this show will die out as well. But we are made of stronger stuff than that.
Yes, and the second wave is in full swing. We are more virulent than ever.
They can't get to us yet. We lock the doors when we record this, and they can't get in. So let's just see and hoping. We've got another busy show this week, running through a lot of things. There's a surprise album that came out. We'll talk about that later. We also
really excited. That's the reissue of Bob Marley's Kaya, isn't it? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's
the
one for
final
all
reissue
of the
that came out. Yeah.
We heard you, and we want to fulfill that promise to you. So we will be delving into that. Unless something else drops in the meantime while we record, we'll have to have a look at that.
Which seems very unlikely.
Yeah, I hope so. We have a special guest as well coming up, Jake. Who's stopping by in a bit?
Well, this week we've got Fred from Spector coming on as the only indie legend that we would consider fit to rank Christmas songs. So
no one else could do it. Do it.
So this week we won't be ranking. We won't be saying what jingles our bells. But instead, I'll be putting Fred through his paces on such Christmas classics as the Crazy Frog cover of Last Christmas. So stay tuned for that one.
Stay tuned indeed. If you do want the jingling bells content, we will be having a bit of a Christmas special on next week's show. So obviously tune in for that. If your bells need further jingling, we'll be there.
We'll be like a sheepdog rounding up the decrepit reindeer of the Christmas songs we haven't yet spoken about.
Which, there's a fucking lot of them. But less of that, Jake. Let's whack open our payment, I reckon, for the business that we attending to.
Wait until after the big. All right, fine. It looks suspiciously like the normal Dork mailbag. So I think it went missing after last week's show. I think maybe they've stolen it and ransomed it back to us. But anyway, nothing can ever be proven. There must be millions of Dork mailbags out there. And we
find them all over the place, famously.
We do.
We found them in the hydrogen, the flipping collider last weekend.
The Large Hadron Collider. Jesus. Come on, mate.
I
think they've been in a church
it's all
before,
maths.
Maybe. Who knows?
It's all maths in it, But yes, what's knocking about in the mailbag, I guess? What's landed?
Well, David from Anglesey.
Great place.
Yeah, I've got no idea where that is. So
it's in Wales, David. Isn't it? It's just off the coast of Wales, like a little.
Oh, okay. Indent. I was going to say it's in Wales. That doesn't mean you know where it is. That's a whole country, JB.
It's somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere. Is all I know. It's knocking around. I'm sure we can pinpoint it somewhere.
Right.
But yes.
So anyway,
what's he asking?
He says, He says, "Hi, Dork. What's your favourite Christmas selection box?"
Ooh.
Jamie.
God. I am a fan of. I'm quite a fan of just the classic. The dairy milk ones always do quite well, and I'm always quite partial to a nibble on a crunch or a dime.
Oh, so you're talking the sort of the ones you'd get in your stocking, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The sort of six-pack or whatever. No, I think that's fine. Yeah. I think it's just, we've got to be, because obviously there's the boxes like Heroes and Celebrations, and then you've got like your milk tray and your After Eights, and then you've got what you're talking about, which is that sort of, just give the kids some sugar and make them shut up, but it never works, that kind of thing.
That's my kind of vibe. Maybe that's what my parents were doing all along, to be honest. It's just
that's what all the parents are doing.
Just give them that and he'll shut up. So yeah, I just want to say on the milk trays, I feel like the milk trays are quite scandalous in the fact that they get to have some of the festive season when really they're just a normal milk tray that knocks around. Do you know what I mean?
The thing that milk trays try and be is like the classic bunch of flowers and a box of chocolates for a date.
Yeah.
But they're too low rent for that. I don't think you can give that. So that's why they must. Because you go into like an off license or whatever, and they've always got like one dusty milk tray for sale at like 3 times the price it should be. And it's just that's it. That's a relationship ender, isn't it? Like someone gives you a milk tray.
It's in a similar vein to like in Jumanji, the film, where they kind of like go to the back of the store. They like find this dusty box and they're like, one milk tray for you, sir. And you're like, I guess that'll be it. But yeah, that's it's one that you can find in any sort of service station. So yeah, overrated in the milk trays.
No one's ever been happy to receive a milk tray, I don't think.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh my God, a milk tray? No way!
You shouldn't have.
No one's reacted. No. Obviously, milk tray, if you are listening, we are looking for sponsors all the time.
Yeah, we could reverse this. We could reverse this bad press like that. Instantaneous.
Drop of a dime, we could sort it. But obviously, up to you. What about you, Jake? What about what selection spots really floats your boat?
Well, I think Cadbury's does win the day. I like you say. I like your selection box stores. My favourite, I think, is a box of Heroes. I don't think there's one in Heroes that I don't like. Even the eclairs, which are a bit weird, like I can get into it. And like the best thing about those is like you can convince your parents to get one for the house if you're back home over Christmas when you're a bit younger. And then really, like, come on, like we all know that I'm going to be eating them quicker than everyone else. So like I basically get a whole box. And everyone thinks that it was communal, but really I'm fucking, fucking Gran's in the corner with one eclair. And I'm there shoveling dairy milk caramels into my mouth as fast as I can do.
She's there trying to pick out the Snickers, trying to gum them, and you're there just like fucking hoovering the bastards down.
I mean, Snickers aren't Cadbury's, Jamie. That would come in a box of Celebrations, I believe.
Oh, I'm a fool.
But anyway,
I've been deceived. Moving swiftly on.
Lily from Middlesbrough says, which European country would win in a fight? Now, I think what she means here. I think what she means here is if you could make the actual countries fight, which one would win?
As in the land.
Like,
the land.
I think so.
Would fight.
So I guess obviously. I don't think we can include Russia because so much of it is not in Europe and it would win so easily. I think Germany would have a good shout because it's quite large. But then it's central, so it's going to get attacked from all sides, isn't it?
It's also quite built, isn't it, though? It's like it's a unit, isn't it? Germany's like the bouncer. Yeah. Germany's the bouncer that's known as Tiny at the nightclub. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The one who's known as Tiny, but and the joke is he's not tiny. That's Germany. What I will give a shout is Italy. I think Italy's got the
it's
kicks,
shaped like a boot, right? And it's got that little ball that is Sicily on the end, so they can just boot that into all the other countries. I think that's kind of an easy win.
Yeah,
Portugal probably does quite well because it can take Spain from behind, then sit out the rest of it, and then just sort of wrap up the winner.
Mate. It's not messing about. I feel like the United Kingdom is a bit all over the place. We're all over the shop.
I think it would destroy itself.
Yeah, we'll be done before then. I think France Also, it's got the little kettle, like tip at the end, a little bit like a gun. So it could always just, and it was firing out the Channel Islands, if you will. That's just obviously nearby. Just
yes, the
like,
two Channel Islands, which famously aren't French.
Yeah, but, I mean, they're all in the game, aren't they? At that point,
I guess. The Scandinavian countries that do well. Doesn't Denmark own Greenland? Like Greenland's huge, right? So they could bring that in as a sort of
that's true.
Tag team fighter.
Yeah, and the land would just like proper fucking clatter them. I think Germany obviously is built.
I feel like I'm going to go for Italy if you're going for Germany. I think Italy's got that Mediterranean advantage, and I'd like to see it win.
Plus, they got the Pope,
win, haven't they? They got the Catholics behind them, so
famous boxer.
Spain can't beat up. Spain can't beat up Italy because they'd be beating up God.
And ultimately, God wins.
He does. Amen.
I think that hopefully answers your question there, Lily. I'd hope so.
In ancient times.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Thank you for the mailbag, as always. Again, as we repeatedly say every week, if you have any questions, any topics you want us to delve into, such as who would win in a fight, which country would win in fights, as in the land mass themselves, we're here. We can give an insight to it.
We'll see you at the Oxford Street illuminations with Sting and Shaggy.
We'll see you all there. Let's get on to some music news, if you will.
Okay, all right.
The year may be ringing to a close, but the music news never closes. Except over Christmas. It does close over then. Not that much goes on then, let's be frank. Let's talk about Ariana Grande, who is not messing about. She's announced that she is putting out a special Netflix concert film called Excuse Me. Oh, sorry, did I miss your one? Did I miss?
Well, it gets buried by the algorithm, but it's there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. You're just underneath Orange is the New Black, famously.
Exactly.
Famously. And that Will Smith film where he teams up with like some sort of gargoyle to fight off.
What was that?
That was mental,
Rest in Peace department? Or is that a different one?
Oh, no. I can't remember what it was called now. But
it looked like absolute shit, whatever it was.
I think it's the perfect example of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
So it's like this
podcast.
Less
about Will Smith. Yeah. And they haven't stopped us yet. Someone pulled a plug. What has not been stopped is Ariana Grande's rise this year. Obviously, another big year for Ariana. She obviously put out a new album, Positions, which came out at the end of October. So this kind of rounds out the year nicely. This concert film is taken from her big Sweetener World Tour, which is when she obviously put out the Sweetener album and then followed that up pretty quickly with Thank You Next. So a pretty big one. Netflix, eh? Who would you like to see have a big? Who would you like to see have a big concert film on Netflix? Obviously, Shawn Mendes did it recently. Justin Timberlake
Sean Paul,
has done it.
I'd think would be better. Better than Shawn Mendes.
A Netflix special. Is Sean
I think
Paul
so.
Can I just come up? Is Sean Paul still on his roof where he did the BBC Live Lounge All Stars?
I think we can only assume he's still up there.
He's still there. We haven't heard from him since, so we can only presume he is still there. Singing there, times like
just
these.
Come in and give it to all the girls, as he famously says. Sounds quite creepy when it's not in his accent, doesn't it? I'm coming to give it to all the girls. Oh, all right, Jesus.
Oh, God. Let's clear that right out of our mouth. The Excuse Me, I Love You concert film, Ariana Grande. It's out on December 21st. Perfect for Christmas, eh? But let's have a listen to a highlight that's obviously featured on the tour. This is the absolute banger. Thank You Next.
Well,
thank
Jamie,
you indeed.
Thank you. And on to the next piece of news. Now, Jamie, are there any weak walls in your house that you need to worry about?
Well, famously, actually, my bathroom does have quite a weak wall at the moment.
Okay.
It currently needs refurbishment. How does it relate to, obviously, music news going on?
Well, I just basically want you to bear that in mind. Do you like that wall? Is that a good wall, or is it a dividing wall between you and your country folk?
If my country folk live in a drain outside, then yes, they do.
Mr. Gorbachev, bring down this wall. David Hasselhoff has released a heavy metal track. That's my news. Just to leave you to digest that. He's teamed up
a heavy metal track.
So he's teamed up with an Austrian band called Q-Stack. And basically he just sort of screams through the night forever. Seems to be like his. I don't know, but there's also a Kickstarter to fund like the music video, and I'm sorry, like David Hasselhoff surely has enough money to film a music video.
He did a lot, he did Baywatch for a number of years. You would hope that he would have saved some money up in some point. Is this another situation where, like, we had obviously Vin Diesel on the show, not on the show. He wasn't. He wasn't. He didn't pop in.
Yeah, when Vinny popped by.
Yeah, in between filming another Fast and Furious. But is this a similar situation where he's kind of an actor has stepped into the musical game and has tried to go for it with a track?
I think David Hasselhoff is two people to two nations. He's a chameleon, you know. To us and to the Americans, he's an actor famous for the SpongeBob movie, famously. And Knight Rider.
Famous star appearance.
But to the Germans, and I imagine to the Austrians, based on this song that's coming out with an Austrian duo, he's a musician who climbed up during the Berlin Wall protests, and he sang "Looking for Freedom." Looking for freedom. He was wearing a leather jacket covered in what looked like fairy lights. I'm not entirely sure why he was there or how it happened. Sort of the equivalent of Kraftwerk climbing up during the English Civil War and playing Autobahn to the amassed crowds. But he did it, and he sang "Looking for Freedom." And I think in Germany, he is still, I think it's quite a sort of kitsch thing, but he is still considered like a huge musician over there. They love him.
Madness.
They love Hasselhoff.
Madness.
Yeah.
I rate it. I rate the fact that ultimately and famously in the record books, when the Berlin Wall came down, it was soundtracked by him. He brought it down. Not many artists can say that.
He brought down the Berlin Wall by sheer force of voice. Rumbled the foundations.
And now he feels like he can just jump on any track, as is seen by this heavy metal track. Do we expect him to play Download next year? Is the big question, obviously.
I think if he does play Download, there better be some big geopolitical event happening there. I feel like he might play like the Brexit talks, or like I don't know. The next time a civil war happens in a country, he'll turn up, separate the forces, and sing through the night.
Like a ceasefire. Yeah, in a similar vein to when in World War I they stopped the battling
to listen to David Hasselhoff. Yeah,
to play. Yeah. It's a similar thing. They will put down their arms, and he will stand there and just blare out "Looking for Freedom." Which I rate.
I absolutely refuse to play a new David Hasselhoff heavy metal song in 2020.
I think that's fair.
So instead, I listened to "Looking for Freedom" to see whether it would encourage me to unite with the peoples of East Germany. And I tell you what, it's a banger. So we're going to listen to it now.
It's a huge banger. I think. Hold on a second. I think there's someone at the door. So obviously, I'll just shimmy over there.
Yeah, I wondered about that. Sounds like sirens outside, Jamie. So be careful out there.
I'm sure it's just an ice cream, man. I'm gonna go have a look and answer the door. Jake, if you want to obviously just click play on that, I'm just gonna shimmy out.
Well, this is looking for freedom, and all being well, myself and Jamie will be back after this to chat to Fred from Spector. I can't imagine anything's going to go wrong before then, or that Jamie's going to get thrown into any kind of prison system that would render him unable to join the chat. This is Looking for Freedom by David Hasselhoff. Right, well, Jamie's been dragged off to indie prison for crimes that weren't made clear to me, but luckily I've found a last-minute replacement. I've got Fred here from Spector. How are we doing?
Just out of indie prison.
Yeah, the revolving door, you know. We've all done a stretch.
Yeah.
How are you coping with this
I'm a lifer
the festive period? Yeah, true. You know the ropes. How's the festive period going?
I'm enjoying it, actually. I haven't done much socialising yet. I guess no one has, but it's the first point in the year where the amount of kind of home drinking feels almost justified.
Yeah. Sort of synced up with normal life.
Yeah. And like we're finally acting the way that we would normally act, even though for many people they've been acting like this for a lot of the year as well.
It's been a long Christmas, isn't it? Just a sort of 11-month Christmas with existential dread over the top of it.
Yeah, a long diseased Christmas.
Have you picked up any new hobbies over the lockdown period? Anything to entertain yourself?
I'm cooking more. I've never been a keen chef, and now I've started. How
much were you cooking beforehand? What's more?
I've never been. I've always been a heater upper, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right, yeah. So sort of ready meal vibes.
Dr. Urtka has always been a closest friend.
Doesn't he just make like brownies? Does he do real food as well?
No, the ristorante pizza.
Of course, yes. Silly me.
You know.
So yeah. So now what? Now you've been buying the pizza bases and topping them yourself.
Come on. He also was he was also a Nazi as well. Not that that's.
That's nice.
Yeah, he won a Nazi Business Award. I don't say that like it's a good thing, but
well, you sort of did. Is that on the packet?
No, but if it's on his Wikipedia, if you search the real Dr. Urtka.
Sorry, at what point in your life do you Google what are you staring at the back of the pizza box waiting for it to heat up going, wonder if he was a Nazi?
Well, that's the thing, this is the time you save on cooking. You can then actually research the food you are eating. So
cool,
I've got an intimate knowledge of frozen meals and various bits and bobs.
Was Aunt Bessie a Nazi?
I don't believe she was.
Good to know. Any other prominent Nazis in the cooking world?
No, but I imagine Captain Birdseye was probably a pedo. Can we say that?
Nazis and nonces, yeah. I think Captain Birdseye's not real, so you're allowed to say whatever you want about him.
That's a shame. Next you're going to tell me Captain Morgan's not real.
He could be. The Captain Morgans did a promotional campaign with the captain of a football team called Captain Morgan once. So I guess there is a good Captain Morgan. Yeah, although
I did like
the
that
slogan...
Advert, be like the captain, they did, that advert.
Yeah, well, but the thing they did with this guy was the slogan was there's only one Captain Morgan, which they proved wrong by having the guy do it.
Right.
So the whole ad campaign seemed broken to me. I never sent a letter. I should have done, really.
I think working in PR for alcohol brands, it's just a bit of fun, really, because there's always going to be money to do stupid stuff because people love alcohol. But once you're a name brand, once you're Smirnoff, it's not going to be like, how are we going to sell Smirnoff through this advert?
Also, there's the thing where like they can't actually say like, "Oh, this alcohol's great," can they? Like you've got to advertise it without saying it's good. So yeah, you just get to do like you have to do insane things.
Wasn't Vinnie Jones in a rum advert at some point?
Probably. I don't know, but it sounds like that is correct.
Some of you listeners out there, text in if you can remember what booze advert Vinnie Jones was in.
Yeah, please text in your favourite booze adverts and also which one Vinnie Jones was in. Memories of lockdown boozing. So what have you been cooking now that you've weaned yourself off the Nazi pizzas?
What did I make these last few days? This kind of chicken, sweet potato, chorizo, bake kind of thing. That was nice.
That sounds like a real meal. I'll give that a tick.
Yeah. Salmon. Are they called steaks when it looks like there's a silver?
A fillet,
there's a bit of its skin. A fillet. That's it. A skin-on fillet in the pan.
Wow. Do you eat the skin, or are you a coward?
I like the skin. Yeah. I usually favour skin. When we move onto cloned animal meat, which I imagine will be quite soon. I hope they manage to get the skin right. I'm sure they'll get the flesh right.
Well, if they're cloning it, then maybe like if you really like skin, you could just order it like by the yard. Just get a few yards of skin in, cook it in the oven.
Not nice. Bad shout. I realise I'm just saying meaty things. I'm trying to think if I need to say some vegetarian things I've cooked.
I mean, there were sweet potatoes in one of them. That's vegetarian.
That's true.
The potato.
That was true. Just things with like, garlic, some onion, and then whatever's around.
It sounds like this hobby isn't so much cooking. Like, I mean, the hobby seems to be very basic cooking. You haven't gone full gastronome. You're not Ainsley Harriott level.
I did recreate the Dishoom Ruby Murray recipe from scratch, which is a 48 hours, because you've got to marinate the chicken. You have to get all sorts of like green cardamom pods, black cardamom pods. I didn't even know there was one type of cardamom.
No, I was going to say I had no idea.
It was the best thing I ate during lockdown.
Oh, well, that's good. At least it wasn't like 48 hours, then you ate it and went, yes, all right, it's fine, I guess. Because that does happen sometimes.
No, I mean, food always... Actually, the producer we work with quite a lot, I was complaining about not liking the sound of our music, and he said, well, music's like cooking. It always tastes better when someone else does it.
Yeah, but I think over lockdown, I've kind of got to the point where, like, well, I guess maybe I've just forgotten what it feels like for someone else to cook it, but there is a satisfaction in doing, like, an actual meal. Although then that satisfaction, I don't think that would last 48 hours for me. I don't think that would last through 2 types of cardamom. I think by that point, I'd be like, nah, fuck off, like, as if this makes a difference. And now you've got loads of cardamom lying around, right?
Yeah, sometimes that detail is fun when you have to try and find one thing for a recipe that it says it's required, and you actually go out to find some paprika or whatever.
Yeah, but less fun when there's a lockdown and everyone's trying to stay 2 meters away from you while you rummage through the cardamom, I guess.
True. I always have my security with me, so...
Of course, yes. So you just shut down the store.
They keep people away. Yeah. They've already prepared. They've already got all the cardamom out that someone's called ahead. And they lay them out.
Now you just fill up the boot of the limousine with all the different types of cardamom and you're away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
The cardamom boot.
While you weren't cooking, you popped up on a few of the ubiquitous live streams. Was that something you enjoyed? I seem to remember you read Harry Potter for one of them, and then you were at the Magic Gang one, just basically taking the piss.
Well, I think people had got so bored of people doing dodgy lo-fi renditions of their own songs that it got to a point where I would only agree to go on a live stream if they guaranteed that no music, especially my own, was involved.
Hard bargain. So I think, hard bargain when someone gets to can Spector do a live stream. Yes, but there will be no music whatsoever, and we demand full editorial control.
Yeah, I said I could read bedtime story, and then I can't remember what I was going to read. Something a bit. I don't know how they managed to strong arm me into reading the, transphobic Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, but I was going to read something a little more heavyweight. But that it worked out quite well, and I managed to get a girl I just invited someone. You know how you can join Instagram streams. I asked if anyone wanted to play Professor McGonagall, and there was a girl watching in France who then connected in on the Instagram live and with her own copy of the book read Professor McGonagall's part. And then I had this fancy of like, okay, it took about half an hour to read the first chapter, and I think I was only signed up half an hour, but I was like, what if I've got the login to their Instagram now, what if I just stayed on and read the entirety of the first book? And I googled how long it would take to read Harry Potter in one sitting. I think it's only something like 4 or 5 hours. So I was like, I'll be done by midnight, and this could be quite funny if 10:30 p.m.
If
there, Instagram's still live. Anyway, by the end, I think it was just me and the other girl,
and even she was trying to edge out the door. The Magic Gang one was obviously slightly different because there was a bar that was open there. Was that good fun? Did it make you pine for an album release of your own to get drunk and do karaoke too?
Potentially, yeah. It definitely. Yeah, I think everyone was acting a bit like a kind of 11-year-old at a school disco because they were just giddy at seeing people and hearing loud noises. And the idea was good. It felt like Wayne's World or something. Again, we were meant to... I was only on at the beginning and we weren't meant to go back on, but everyone was just hanging around. And by the end, I really felt like it was like Live Aid or something, that we were really there to do this job of selling Magic Gang albums.
Which I think you did very well. It really was like Live Aid, there won't be an album release in Africa this Christmas, I think, was the vibe,
Yes.
That was the only lyric I could think of from Live Aid, and it sounds harsher than I meant it to.
You're going to have to re-record that one.
No, I've just resigned myself. At some point, one of these will come out, and I'll just find out that it's all over. I've been cancelled and consigned to indie prison along with Jamie.
I think if we're talking about the Magic Gang, a better lyric might be, "Tonight, thank God it's them instead of you."
yeah, all right. Yeah, that works a lot better. Should have gone with that. I was going to ask, have you got any new music on the horizon then, Fred? Talking about music, do I throw that in there?
If you hadn't been so tantalised by the sound of my, very dry chicken and chorizo bake, I might have got a chance to talk about music. Yeah, we've actually, we're going to be recording an album in January, and we've spent the whole of lockdown finishing writing it. I say that like it's finished. It's not. I'm still going to come off this phone call.
You're too busy making 48-hour curries.
Exactly. I'm going to get back on my Excel spreadsheet and try and get some lyrics down. But yeah, there is an actual album in our sights. Don't sound too excited.
I thought you were going on. You mentioned an Excel spreadsheet. I thought it was going to get some more juicy details, some of the stats, anything like that. Maybe one of the run times, something to really get our juices flowing.
Let's put it this way. We've got on our SoundCloud, there's currently 21 demos up there. I'm looking at this now. That's our internal SoundCloud.
Those are the juicy details you want, 21 demos. Are they all going to make it on?
It's password protected, so if anyone could guess the URL...
It's not Spector, is it?
It's not, but it may as well be. It starts with an A, let's put it that way. Yeah, Spector demos.
Yeah, I'm sure we could guess it. If no one guesses it now, that's going to be depressing, isn't it? Guys at home, you have to try and guess it, for Fred's sake.
We said we promised we'd get this up to 30 demos by the end of the year. It's at 21, so that's 23 days to get another 9 tracks up.
Easy. And plus, I can't imagine you've got anything, like a big Christmas or anything like that coming up, right? That might take your attention away from these things.
This podcast Is it a podcast? Radio show? This is as close
both.
as I'm getting.
It's a radio show followed by a podcast. Oh, that's cute.
Nice.
So I'm like your family now. All of them rolled into one.
Yeah, this is my Dr. Urka turkey dinner.
I'm so flattered to be the Nazi turkey to your Christmas feast, Fred.
No worries, you're not the first person to have said that to me.
Oh, wow. I also wanted to bring up your cat because it scares me. Does it not scare you? Did a bit of research before this story. For anyone listening at home that isn't aware, Fred has, I don't know the name of the breed, but one of the bald cats. What's the technical term, or is that it?
I think this one's called a Russian Sphinx.
Yeah.
But it's never been anywhere near Russia. But
and I guess it's not really a sphinx. A sphinx has the face of a human, so...
Yeah.
What's the name? What's the name of the cat? It really creeps me out, and I'm sorry. I feel like if I met one, I wouldn't be as creeped out. But I just spent a good 10 minutes staring at it.
Say that. I think if they come round and then he sits on their lap and they start stroking him, even though it's like stroking a naked baby or something, or just like a human skin. That sounded wrong. I think then they realise it's actually quite a nice feeling. He's quite warm and sweaty, but I've come to love him. He's basically my best friend's name.
You're really not selling
this. His name is Ian, which is short for alien.
Okay, I like that. That's good. Do you have to put sun cream on him in the summer? Or do you just keep him in the shade?
He's not allowed to go out in the sun, and we do catch him sunbathing by the window sometimes, and we have to get him out of it because he gets like a light tan. But equally, they get really cold in the winter, so he sleeps in a little bed on the radiator.
It sounds like a lot of effort to go through for him. Like, why doesn't he just grow fur? Has he tried?
I know, but I guess everyone thrives off finding these pathetic little creatures that they want to have to live to protect, whether that's children, Tamagotchis, or hairless cats.
Yeah. On that note, why don't we play one of your songs, and then we can get into our little festive game. So I thought we would play When Did We Get So Normal, which I believe is the most recent. Is that the most recent?
It
wasn't a sneaky track you released since then.
It was released calamitously because it was all about, how boring and straightforward life becomes as you get older, but it was released about a day after we just found out we were going to have the least normal year of our lifetime. So I think,
although that unnormal just became crushingly normal pretty quickly, so I think you kind of saved it at the last second there. I feel like the mundanity of the lockdown has actually, helps me empathise with it a bit more.
Oh, that's good. Was it the lyric more M&S than S&M that spoke to you?
That was the one, yeah. I just missed M&S so much because the combo of food and clothing is something you miss during the lockdown,
Yeah.
This is When Did We Get So Normal by Spector. Great. That was When Did We Get So Normal? And now we're going to do what we normally do at this point in the show, which is a little game with our guest, which is basically we try desperately to find any kind of pun that we can based on anything the band has ever released. And this week it's the Xmas Directory, which is more barrel scraping than normal, I think. So, Fred, we've sent you a few Christmas classics ahead of this, which I believe you've listened to and ranked. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yes. Sorry, just having a swig of non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, of course. Well, if you get sponsored by it, feel free to shout it out. But if not, then don't, because we're really holding out for some sponsor money. So no brands get mentioned until they send us a tenner.
Okay, I like that. That's why you're not drinking the sports team beer.
I'm not drinking a sports team beer because I didn't get sent one, but I don't want to harp on about that too much. Alex Rice, if you're listening, I hold you personally responsible. What, in solidarity or just because it tasted horrible?
I just thought I'd keep it as a museum piece.
Okay, what was the worst of the songs we sent you? Bearing in mind, I think most of them are pretty terrible.
Unfortunately, although I've got a lot of time for him, it was Robbie Williams.
Oh yeah. So that was Can't Stop Christmas. Yeah. Which we'll do 30 seconds of it now, or a little snippet of it, and then we can have a little chat about it. So here is a small snippet of Can't Stop Christmas by Robbie Williams. Right, what did you hate about that, Fred? What was the issue?
Well, I didn't know actually until you told me that this was a new song, hence all the lyrics about Corona. I thought he would just kind of on the money, like he is usually with lyrics, and had kind of had some sort of prophecy about the way the world was going. It just reminded me how underwhelming the Christmas Present album was.
Yeah, it should have been great, shouldn't it? I think it should have been a new classic, but I kind of forgot it existed until he added this to it.
And this song, I think it's only about 3.5 minutes, but it feels like it's 20 minutes long, which is never a good sign. And
plus the lyrics I think that we talked about this, I think, last week on the show, me and Jamie, but there is a lyric in it where he says, like, oh, we lost a few friends, but like, oh, well, Merry Christmas. And it's like, Jesus Christ, Robbie. It's quite callous, you know?
Yeah.
He's gone for the fun tone, but misjudged the subject matter, I feel, on it.
I guess there's that video of him singing along to Sleaford Mods. Maybe they'd be an inspiration.
Maybe, yeah. I can imagine there's a lot of crossover there.
Apocalyptic anti-capitalist vision.
So
there's an element of it there.
Can I just say, there's a lot of stuff coming up that I think if Robbie were listening, he'd be quite sad to be placed behind. But cracking on.
It's only because I expect the most from him. His gig at the iTunes Festival at the Roundhouse. It's one of the best gigs I've seen in the last 5 years. And I just know he's capable of so much more.
So it's like that gifted student that just hasn't tried, you know. The test is an even more sour note because you know they could have got an A.
Yeah, but it also simultaneously feels a bit overwritten. And I sometimes find I have to be careful with my own lyrics, especially if you write lyrics and then put them to music. Sometimes it sounds like you're trying too hard and you're trying to have a punchline on every line, and actually sometimes you just need a bit of conversational
bit of ballast in between
to come through. Exactly, and I feel like that's something traditionally Robbie's done well, but this reminds me of his lines when he says stuff like "got laid on a ley line" and all this kind of thing, like just trying to be a punchline the whole time.
Yeah, okay. I think that makes sense. And I think with Christmas songs as well, you kind of need them to be able to slip into the background after a few listens, and I just don't think this one ever would, you know?
No.
But anyway, we have to crack on, otherwise we'll be here discussing Robbie's foibles all day. What was the second worst?
That would be a podcast in itself. Second worst was number 7, was Shaggy, Christmas in the Island.
Oh, what's Shaggy done to you?
I don't know. This one I do like Shaggy, and I have said before that the mashup of Shaggy Wasn't Me and the Beatles' Let It Be would be one of my Desert Island discs, which I implore everyone to go and check out if they're listening. But this song, it just sounds like he turned up and someone had made the song that morning. And he just sang his bit at the top, and the artwork looks like it was made on a task in The Apprentice.
Yeah, that's a pretty
which
good.
Is always
a pretty good
sign. I always feel like if artwork really looks like it's just been rushed out, then you know that they probably didn't care that much about the song in the first place.
But he's done the whole Christmas album, right? This is just the sort of the icing on the Christmas cake. You know, this is just one track of many. I haven't listened to it all because I'm not mental, but
no, this is obviously the eponymous track of the Christmas in the Islands album. I haven't myself listened to it. Now I'm looking at the track listing. I see Joss Stone features on the track called Sunny Celebration. So maybe that's a bit more of a one to check out. And then also Bounty Killer is on one, Beanie Man. So I'm sure overall it's quite good.
There's going to be something in here that's good, but we just haven't found it yet.
12 Days of Christmas featuring Beanie Man and Craigie T. You know,
that's going to be the one, isn't it? That's going to be the winner.
Yeah. Why did you make me listen to Christmas in the Islands featuring Raven?
Well, it's the title track. I thought you would have put his all into it, you know? Anyway, here is a quick snippet of Christmas in the Islands by Shaggy, and then we'll be back for your number 6. I've already lost track. Anyway, here it is.
No 5 step on the rock. Next year I'll be coming back. Cause right now I better get my list intact. Last minute Christmas shop.
From the sunrise to the moonlight, it's Christmas in the island. The island.
And there we go. What was the next worst, Fred, of the ones we sent you?
Number 6. This one was nearly higher actually until the woman's voice comes in and singing the hook, but Crazy Frog, Last Christmas.
Nearly higher.
The verse, I didn't mind the verse. It sounds like the new A.G. Cook album or Arthur or something. Like I think Crazy Frog was clearly quite ahead of his time. But
my issue with this is that there's not enough Crazy Frog on it. They just sort of do a version of Last Christmas. Like,
so when
that's
the girl's
what annoyed
voice
me.
comes in, and it sounds like Claire from Steps or something singing the hook. It's just, it feels like a cop-out.
Yeah.
Because if that bit went, ding, 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 like, but then you've got her singing it.
You know, I wonder, like, what was the plan? What was the point? Like, what did they think? They thought this was going to be a classic. They were like, we can't just make this a novelty song because this could be a banker for years to come. We better put in a real hook.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like Crazy Frog, it was almost like Spotify music before Spotify. It was like, let's create this non-music. It's in between. That's kind of what made me think of stuff like PC music. It's like, if we create something as artificial as possible, maybe it will hold more emotional weight than anyone actually trying to do anything emotional.
Well, I think they did quite well with it, didn't they, really? I mean, it wasn't a failure.
Especially considering his penis is exposed in all the videos and imagery.
Yeah, that's an odd touch, wasn't it? Did you watch the video to this, actually? That's true.
I didn't know. I don't have...
It's him in a present
I don't
factory.
have that much time on my hands.
Well, I found it on YouTube before discovering that it was on Spotify. I did a sort of reverse search for it. You know, this took hours, days of research, Fred, to get these tracks together for you.
It seems like it.
Okay, this is a bit of Last Christmas by Crazy Frog. These get added in after, so I'm not sure which bit it's going to be. Hopefully a bit with Crazy Frog, but if it is the woman, we can only humbly apologise. But anyway, here it is. Right, I think that was very festive. What's the next on the list?
The next one, which is kind of the only newish. Oh no, one of the actually there's a few newish ones. Feet Vegetarian Christmas.
What did you think of this one? This one I feel like actually can be appraised as a song, which some of the others cannot.
I quite like these guys. I've never met them, but they're the sort of people you see on posters in when I'm playing in like small to medium sized venues and seeing who else is playing. It's usually people like Feet, and there's some pictures of them in kind of Western Wild West garb, which I like.
Always good.
And also, there's a mention of Linda McCartney sausage, and I've got a lot of time for Linda McCartney. And I had New Year's Eve in Kintyre a few years ago, where Paul McCartney wrote Mull of Kintyre. And we were staying on the beach, in a house on the beach, literally just down from where he'd filmed the video, and there was a Linda McCartney statue locally, but it was behind a fence, but we climbed over this fence either on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day to get a close look at this statue.
Why is it behind a fence? Is it a private statue? Like a shrine?
I don't know. I think money was collected to have it made when she died, but I'm not sure if Paul McCartney's ever visited it. But I think she plays a very important role in his life and his work, and he's one of those people, like so many great artists, there's always someone behind them for the significant periods of their life.
But not fenced off
Tom Waits
normally.
has it with his wife, and Yoko Ono and John Lennon, Elton John, David Furnish. There's all these significant characters that are.
Do you have a significant character, Fred? Is it Ian?
Yeah, and let's just say, if I pass too soon, and my local community clubs together to make a statue, I would hope that he would come to visit it. Or vice versa.
Whether it was behind a fence or not, you'd hope he'd make the effort, go out in the direct sunlight and risk his life for you for one last visit.
But it stayed with me. And now I've it reframed my understanding of the whole Paul McCartney story.
And that's why you enjoyed Vegetarian Christmas by Feet.
I enjoyed it anyway, and I thought it was quite a good conceit for a song. And often you can see people when they write Christmas songs like straining to come up with a take, or like, oh, what can I add the word Christmas to? Case in point, Christmas in the Islands.
Yeah. So you think they've been more successful than Shaggy?
Yes, but maybe Shaggy stretched himself too thin across 15 tracks. And, maybe
that does seem
Pete could have done with Joss Stone's help as well.
Yeah, I feel like with the Shaggy one, I just want to get going back to it. I feel like, does anyone need a Christmas album? Like, just make one really good song. Like, no one remembers a Christmas album, do they? Like, no one's talking about Slade's Christmas album. They just did the one really good song, which we refused to let you listen to and made you listen to all of this instead. Yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's a Christmas album. No, it's always compilations, isn't it?
Exactly, because people don't want
to listen to this Shaggy one. It might be really good.
It might be.
I'll get back to you once I've listened to Ragamuffin Christmas featuring Junior Reid and Band together.
We'll have you back on next year to discuss it at length.
Please
bring notes. Right, this is a bit of Vegetarian Christmas by Feet, and then we'll be back for. I think we're halfway through now. So this is a bit of Vegetarian Christmas, and then we'll be back with the top 50%. Right, what starts off the leaderboard? That's number 4, isn't it? Yeah.
Liam Gallagher. What's the song called? Dream.
All You're Dreaming of, I believe.
Yeah. I think it's his best song since BDI. Since the Flick of the Finger by BDI.
What bits of BDI were good?
They had something, BDI. I think I'd rather listen to the BDI album than a Liam Gallagher album.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I think there was this bizarre
and I definitely rather listen to them than a High Flying Birds.
Yeah, that's true. But BDI, like, before they'd released any music, they were, like, second billing at festivals. Like, oh, yeah, BDI. And then when they released music, it was almost like they just, bluffed. Just at poker, they just put the hand down and went, yeah, we don't have anything. I'm sorry.
I think I remember walking past them at Glastonbury and they were playing, what's the song? I forget the woke up this morning, I was face down on the playground. It's like that.
Yeah.
Down, 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 down. In time. It's quite psychedelic.
That's a pretty good impression. You should do a tribute act if it doesn't work out. You know,
it hasn't worked out, and I will.
Well, it didn't work out for Beady Eye either, so maybe you could sort of fuse the two.
True.
Half Spector songs, half Beady Eye.
That's not a bad shout, actually. But this, I'm kind of quite a bit of a sucker for these kinds of songs, like this one. It sounds like Matt Maltese, or
it's surprisingly high quality. I think. Like, I really did think it was going to be absolute shit when it was announced, but I was pleasantly surprised. To the point where, like, if it comes on, I'm like, oh yeah, this is all right, isn't it? It's not like a Liam Gallagher song.
I think it's his best solo song. It's a tiny bit long, but other than that, it's a thumbs up for me.
I mean, most songs are a bit long, aren't they? I think you should normally cut 5 or 10 seconds off.
Agreed.
Unless it's like a minute and a half, then you've probably done your best to cut that down.
Yeah.
Right, this is a bit of All You're Dreaming Of by Liam Gallagher.
Oh, are you dreaming of? Is it the kind of love?
Okay, the bronze medal goes to
Fetty Wap.
Oh yes, featuring Monty with Merry Xmas.
Monty.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
what did you think
basically
of this?
just a Christmas version of "Baby, Won't You Come My Way."
Yeah, almost. Real cash grab. I feel, but
it just reminded me how good. It just reminded me how good Fetty Wap.
Yeah,
is.
it's like a time capsule of that first Fetty Wap. You know, when he actually did like 3 or 4 massive songs in a row and then disappeared.
That was a good era.
He tacked this on at the end. I think so. 2015, I think. I want to say that.
Right.
Maybe 2014.
2015, going out 2014, 15, and just hearing those songs the whole time. It was a great period.
So why did this never get any traction? That's my question. Every year I think this about poor Fetty Wap.
That's a good question. Let me check its Spotify plays on this Christmas one. Just scrolling down. Here we go. No, Jimmy Choo. Merry Christmas featuring Monty. It got 4.7 million plays.
Oh, all right.
That's nothing compared to the 806 million that Trap Queen got.
Yeah, but this is right. So 4.6 million, like, obviously Trap Queen is the moneymaker there, but that's still a decent chunk of change, isn't it? Considering no one seems to have ever heard of it. Like, where are these 4 million people?
Actually makes me wonder if I check Crazy Frog's top 10 on Spotify, if Last Christmas is in there. He's got 57 million on XLF. Last Christmas isn't even in the top 10.
Crazy Frog has 50 million
ding a dang dong.
He has 50 million on a platform that didn't even exist when that song was big. That's 50 million
He's
retrospective
still got a million
plays.
Monthly listeners. But that's because it's music. It's infinite music that exists outside of time. People
that's true.
would walk over hot coals to make something like this.
I think so. And to make it without any trousers on as well.
Wow, exactly. Okay, so here we go. Oh, there's also he did one of Jingle Bells.
Oh, did he?
I should have put
the Bass
Last
Hunter
Christmas has 1 million
song.
plays.
1 million? That's all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Better than a kick in the teeth.
Yeah, I mean, does a frog need that much money?
Better
but
than
anyway.
Kick in the amphibian genitalia.
Yes. On that note, this is a slice of Merry Xmas by Fetty Wap featuring Monty.
We're all in love with Christmas, it's true. And all I want for Christmas is you. I said all I want for Christmas is you. What you want for Christmas, I handle my business.
Right, the top 2. We've got The Darkness and Earth, Wind and Fire left. Which one of them are you giving the number 2 spot, Fred?
The silver medal is going to Earth, Wind and Fire. Now, I don't think this is a particularly successful Christmas song, but because they've just changed September to December.
And they've also changed very first night to 25th night, so they've actually done the legwork.
But apart from that, that's quite classy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They're not haven't put loads of sleigh bells on it. They haven't like tried to crowbar in all these lyrics that don't fit. It's just simple. They took a great song and changed a couple of words.
They've got out the recipe book and they've seen a classic dish and they've thought, I don't want to update that. I don't want to make that too new.
Which has actually given me the idea for a Christmas song, taking Green Day's "Wake Me Up When September Ends" and making it "Wake Me Up When December Ends."
Well, I think you have to be the act that did the original song for it to work. So I'm not sure what you could do, really.
Or maybe someone could tell, what's the guy called, Trey? In the band.
Is it Trey Cool? Is that his name?
That's it. So that's what I'm trying to remember.
Good stuff.
You could change it to Milk Trey Cool for Christmas.
That's pretty good.
Someone must have his email address.
Yeah, well, surely
they would do
he's probably listening
when they come to London.
Yeah, we get so many billions of listens on this podcast that he's definitely one of them, you know.
You get so many billion Joe Armstrongs. Sorry.
Yes. Here is December by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Do you remember the 25th night of December? Love was changing the minds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away.
Which leaves number one, the gold medal for The Darkness with Christmas Time, Don't Let the Bells End. I've always enjoyed that pun at the end of that, the fact that they slotted that into what is otherwise a very good Christmas song. I think you're correct on this. That was basically the only one in there that is a classic, I think.
It's also, I think, the last Christmas song to have become canon, full stop.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think there's been a couple in recent years, because so many Christmas songs, like this year, we've started doing a section on the show with Christmas songs, and there's reams of them, sacks of Christmas songs coming out. So eventually one of them's got to stick, I'm sure. It might not be Crazy Frog, but something will stick.
I like some of the Killers ones. There's one with Elton John and Neil Tennant that I really like. But I'm trying to think, has anyone actually made one since?
I don't think there's any since then that would be on a classic compilation, and no one would bat an eyelid. People would just be like,
Christmas compilation, yeah.
Exactly. Apart from like the one disc of the Now That That's Why I Call Christmas, when it's just a load of covers of the good songs by less good people.
Right.
Like, this is the last original classic, I think.
But it's not like I go home at night and listen to The Darkness, but this is testament to their chops, you know?
I think so. I think The Darkness, without this song, might have been forgotten by now, but they remain ever present, like the spirit of Christmas, just through their last. You know, how many listens has that got? Are you still on the list? Trivia.
It's 18.4 million. Whereas I Believe in a Thing Called Love has 133 million.
Wow!
And
still
they have 2
nothing on
million
Trap
listeners
Queen,
a month, which is a double the million that Crazy Frog has.
Which still feels like too many for Crazy Frog, I feel.
It's crazy to think that Trap Queen is 5 times bigger than The Darkness, though I guess they sold lots of CDs.
Yeah, that's true. Trap Queen probably did. I think 2014 was still a CD market.
Here's a good bit of Darkness trivia for you. Do you remember a venue called the London Astoria? It might have been before your time.
I do. Very flattering that you would think I am but a young pup.
So, The Darkness were the first band to sell it out unsigned. Who were the second? And also last.
Was it Crazy Frog?
No. Close in a way.
Oh, yeah. Bass Hunter has always seemed close to Crazy Frog in my mind. No. You have to put me out of my misery, otherwise I'm just going to keep guessing stupid things.
Enter Shikari.
Oh, yeah. I do think of them as a spiritual cousin to Crazy Frog. It's a good one.
Well, it's that kind of thing of trying to make that music that's quite challenging to the status quo, that almost makes you a pariah of yourself in your own time.
Do you think that's what Crazy Frog was? Like an anarchist statement, you know? Like a revolutionary call to arms?
I don't think it was an anarchist statement, but I think it was a, hyper... what's the word? hyper-capitalist commercial piece that
the logical endpoint
was a kind of prophecy towards to K-pop and all the stuff now, where you have all these artists that don't exist and are just cartoons or digitally created people. Take something like Lil Miquela. Would she exist without Crazy Frog?
Who knows? Well, was Crazy Frog pre the Gorillaz? The Gorillaz, pre-Gorillaz, or post-Gorillaz?
That's a great question.
I like to think pre. I like to think Damon Albarn saw that and went, yes.
Well, exactly.
Well, there you go. The Darkness, Christmas Time, Don't Let the Bells End, officially the best Christmas song ever written out of a list of terrible Christmas songs I made Fred from Spector listen to. And here is a snippet of it now. Actually, let's play the whole song, seeing as it was number one. So this is nice. Christmas Time, Don't Let the Bells End. Right, thank you, Fred, for coming and bringing festive cheer for us. I'm sorry if I insulted your cat, and thank you for ranking the songs. Are there any of those songs, apart from The Darkness, that you think you will be adding to any festive playlists, or will you never think of them again?
I will listen to that Robbie one again. It's made me think you should do a show on all the times there have been number ones by characters and created... things. I'm sure it goes back to like Pinky and Perky or whatever.
Well, the Wombles, I think, probably got to number one, didn't they?
There you go.
But I am a proponent of the Wombles. Yeah, comedy number ones. Do any of them last the test of time except the Crazy Frog? That's the question, isn't it? Are you still on Spotify? I just want to... How many monthly listeners to the Wombles have? Nearly said the Wombats, then.
Good question. Let me check.
35,000 it says here. Sorry, I beat you to it. That's all right.
Merry Christmas is their most played at 709k.
Which again is pretty. I don't know who's getting that money. Who knows? Have you died? What happened?
No, I was worried that you.
There was just horrible noises there. We'll cut.
No, that was it's all fine. I'm still thinking. I can't stop thinking about Crazy Frog now and the influence it might have had.
The ripples of Crazy Frog echo throughout our universe. And on that note, Fred, I think Jamie has just got parole from Indie Prison and will be back with us. So I'm going to play you out with All the Sad Young Men by your good selves. Thanks, mate. Okay, just me then. Oh, here he is.
Jesus,
back out, mate. Yeah, Fred said it's pretty nasty in there in Indie Prison.
What the fuck? What the fuck happened there?
They must have heard about that haircut you had when you were 15, mate.
What the fuck happened there? I was there. It was me. It was Viva Brother. It was some sort of member of some sort of band who used to play in Birmingham. And what looks like some sort of, I guess, clone of Carl Barat. We traded some stories, is all I'm going to say.
They put all the different genres of celebrity together, so it's like kind of they've got 26 cells. You must have been in the Z list one, by the sounds of things.
Oh yeah, I mean, where I belong. I mean, thankfully, the warden would take my bribe. Which was a dork mailbag question for next week. So keep an eye out for that.
And an unreleased Radiohead song.
I knew it would come in handy someday.
Well,
is all I'm saying.
Do you know the only person in the A-list cell of Indie Prison, Jamie? He's been there for years. The loneliest man in the world, they call him. It's the real Paul McCartney. You know, before they replaced him. Yeah, he's in there.
Fucking hell.
Called Wings of Travesty. Won't stop. That's all he says. He writes it on the walls.
Did you do the whole Christmas thing with Fred? Did I miss that?
Did it all, mate? I'm afraid. Had a great time.
Did it all?
Yeah, he's actually going to be the new co-host from now on. So we don't really need you anymore.
Well, this is going to be an awkward rest of the show.
Yeah, but come on, see it out with dignity, mate. Let's do some new tracks. How does that feel? Good to get your teeth into some new music after being stuck in that indie jail for so long.
Yeah, that'll make me feel better. I was going to say, we because Fred talked about Christmas so much. We're not going to talk that much about Christmas for the rest of the show. But new music, hey. Jake, do you want to start off with some new tracks?
Jamie just says everything that comes to his mind in the order that it comes to his mind.
It flows, it hits, it comes out the other end.
There is a Christmas special next week, which we've already mentioned. I think that's what you were sort of angling towards there, Jamie. I never really know with you.
Christmas is coming. Let's see if I'm still here
Holidays
for it.
are coming. Holidays are coming.
I hope
so. Jamie, song me.
Yes, song you. Let me song you with a collaboration, if you will. Let me talk to you about Troye Sivan. Let me talk to you about Casey Musgraves. And let me talk to you about Mark Ronson, who have teamed up together on a new version of Troy's song Easy. So that song obviously came out, I guess like a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer, on his last EP. And basically, they've just done a completely new version. Troy's like, let me get in the All-Stars. It's kind of like do you remember when the song Pow
25th
first came out?
December. Yes, of course. Yeah.
And they brought in the remixers. This is kind of like a brand new version of the track. Casey Musgraves comes in and basically duets with Troy. She even
doing the sort of verse that Scorcher does.
Famously. Actually more Devlin, to be honest. But along the same lines. They've kind of like teamed up, and with Mark Ronson giving it a new kind of like feel. And this is it. It's like when you hear like, they're redoing a track, right? You just think, it's just someone comes in, sings a bit of the same song, right? But this is like, it feels like a completely new version of the track. It's really like, I don't know, like beefed up, if you will. It's a lot more like pop bangery. I mean, it was already like a really big pop anthem, if you will. But this time it goes even further. Really synthy. And it's quite a nice little team up, if you will.
I can see why they've done it, because I think obviously the first one was, as you say, it was quite pop. But once you have gone pop, you just can't stop.
Famous, as Mr. Pringle once said. A quick one actually on Mr. Pringle
is actually Mark Ronson's alter ego.
Well, I was about to ask the question, do you ever wonder what, like, because you obviously see Mr. Pringle's head a lot, but have you ever wondered what the rest of his body must look like?
No.
Because no one ever answers that question. Like, do you reckon he's, like, muscly? Skinny? Is he, quite old? I don't know, it's never answered.
No, don't care.
With that, this is easy. Troye Sivan, Casey Musgraves, and Mark Ronson.
This house is on fire. Burning the tears right off my face. What the hell did we do? Tell me we'll make it through. 'Cause he made it easy. Please don't leave me alone.
Still thinking about Pringle Man.
What's more interesting, I think, is the Monopoly Man, whose head is like 1.5 times as big as his body in some pictures. That's got to be hard, isn't it? Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, like if he's knocking around, especially in the same suit. He wears the same suit all the time.
Exactly.
That must stink.
And also, the fact that Colonel Sanders was a real person means that I can never be sure whether these people existed or not. Like, was Mr. Pringle real? Was there a Mr. Pringle?
The first Mr. Pringle? Maybe there was. Is he around still? Probably not.
I just don't know.
He's probably gone.
Also, I mean, how do Pringles manage to persist as the only crisp that doesn't come in a packet? It's like the
incredible,
Argos of the crisp world, isn't it? Like they did
Everyone's
it
just
differently,
accepted
and everyone
that's the
went,
form.
"Yeah, all right, fine, but we're going to keep doing it the same way." And they went, "Well, we're going to keep doing it this way." And the world went, "All right, guys, whatever."
And just wax on. Obviously, famously, if you go to like an Aldi, you can obviously find a version of Pringles called Stacks with an X.
Yes, of course. Which are just as good, really.
Just as good, and you save a lot of money.
Although
so
I'd be very happy to extol the virtues of Pringles if Mr. Pringle wants to sponsor the show. So
if Mr. Pringle
get in touch,
is listening,
Mr. Pringle. I will only convene with Mr. Pringle himself, no intermediaries. Right, another song.
Yes. Yes.
Friend of the magazine, I guess. Former cover star Tate McRae has released a new pop bop.
Oh,
heavy. Called Ruok by the looks of things. It's text speak. It's Are You Okay?
It's not Ruok DJ, if you will, the famous Robbie Williams song.
I just want a Ruok DJ. Great.
Rioja DJ.
Yes. Ricotta DJ. I think this Tate McRae one, I think really, really reminds me of some of the slower stuff on Billie Eilish's debut album.
Nice. Yeah.
I think the slow stuff she's released since has kind of gone away from that kind of simple, almost lullaby-esque stuff. And there's bits of this track that remind me of that, and I really like that. And I think it's really good to see someone kind of taking it. Obviously, Tate isn't doing a straight copy of that, but it is one of those things that I haven't thought of for months. And I listened to this, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like those Billie Eilish ones. It is just really, really good. And it's really, really kind of unique as well. I think there's a lot of pop around at the moment, and a lot of the bedroom pop stuff can end up blurring a bit together. You can have a playlist on and be like, is this by the person who did the previous one and that? And I think what elevates Tate McRae above that is you never feel like that. Which is obviously why we put her on the cover. Because she's great.
Exactly. That is how it goes. Obviously she's become like a massive, like over the past few months, she had a big year, hasn't she? She obviously has proper gone into the charts, and this was another like next step, isn't it? It's a great track, really good stuff. Nice way to round out the year, isn't it?
I think so. And it's good. It's also good to see good songs being released this late into the year, rather than just loads and loads of Christmas covers. I'm looking at you, everyone. Honestly,
I was wondering if you were going to name someone.
Write your own Christmas songs. That's all I'm saying. Write your own.
Amazing. Oh,
Blossoms can do it. Why can't you? It's true. This is Tate McRae with "Are You Okay?"
Are you okay, Jake?
I've been okay for years. Doctors say I'm emotionally dead.
Well, let me bring you back to life with some more new music, if you will. This one is from a new artist who, I guess, is, we've kind of obviously supported here at Dork quite a few times. Goes by the name Ed the Dog, who has been barking away with new music knocking around. And he, kind of like today, obviously this week, has shared, I guess, a brand new track, also a brand new album, which is out now as well, which is quite nice. Good on him. The song is called Pulse Flickers Under Wrist. And this is like a proper, like what I love about Ed the Dog and what I've kind of like heard kind of like what he's put out so far is it's like there's that personality kind of like shines through. There is that kind of like real scrappy indie kind of like undertones, but this song he kind of like goes for like the big pop moments. He's willing to really go for it, and it's nice to see like an artist progress like that. Kind of like every song he kind of puts out, it's great.
Very much indie does pop rather than, as you say, like it's still got that personality, and I do like that it's still very much like, oh, this is a guy who normally would be on stage at like a tiny pub playing guitar, and it's a poppy version of that rather than just right. I want to be huge now. Get Mark Ronson on the phone. Gonna write a pop banger.
yeah. He's like, it's proper like, I don't know. It just reminds me, and this is the thing. It reminds me of like, you know, grass. You know, that thing of seeing live shows, seeing that kind of like energy, if you will, and kind of like really going through it in that sense. And it's nice to see, like you say, that he's kind of like evolving as well. Into like, yeah, really nice little artist. And I really like this track, and I think it kind of shows, I don't know, it's good that we, you know, can kind of like show this kind of new artist as well that's really like doing good bits. And I think this is just the beginning for Ed the Dog. Hopefully one day he will grow into a majestic hound and he will survey the world. Hopefully. Our overlords.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed he'll grow up from a dog into a different type of dog.
We can dream. Let's have a listen. Yeah, obviously he's his album, you know, Untitled Crashed, is out now, so you can obviously go and listen to that as well. But yeah, this is a standout. This is Pulse Flickers Under Wrist. Wonderful stuff from Ed the Dog. Speaking of more new
music.
Not
speaking of dogs. Yep, good. More new music.
Speaking of dog overlords who are slowly going to take over the world. I believe you've got a new one from Nilufer Yanya, Jake, knocking about there. I can see it on the side there.
So until the big surprise, we were going to discuss Nilufer's new EP as a sort of you know, no notable albums around, but this EP is really, really great. So I picked a track from
obviously Bob Marley. Marley coming in and reissuing his stuff has really thrown it. It's really thrown it.
It has, yeah. But yeah, so Same Damn Luck, which is from the EP, is the song I'm going to play. And really, this is just a shameless attempt to shoehorn EP discussion into the tracks of the week. Because I think this has been a year of EPs. There's been a lot of EPs, and a lot of the time,
really good ones.
A lot of them have been really, really good. Like properly, like ideas that artists have had that maybe didn't merit a full album, but are still really interesting. So they've made a nice little EP, or a few that have been dropped kind of between big releases as a sort of, you know, I'm still here. A lot of people that I know both of us have spoken to have said like they've been writing so much over lockdown and that they kind of feel like they've moved on. So these EPs are a way of sort of clearing house of the stuff that came before. But I don't think there's been any this year that I've listened to that I haven't thought were at least good, and they've just been these lovely little slices. This
bite-sized.
This one is exactly the same, really. I've really, really enjoyed listening to it today, while also having to listen to the big album. I've sort of slotted it in the middle.
In between
sort of,
the Bob Marley record, of course, famously. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
so it's like,
yes.
It's understated, but it's one of those that gives more each time you listen to it, I think.
Yeah, and it's nice to, like you say, it's kind of like a nice little stopgap in between. Obviously, Niloufer's, like debut album came out last year. It was like really well received, and like it was just like a really really incredible record. And it was kind of like I just wonder like, oh, where did she go next, kind of with it all. And you can clearly see the signs of like growth and kind of like not moving to like a brand new sound, but definitely touching on like bringing in different more like influences. And I think she's brilliant, and I think like it feels like she's one of those artists where like you'll get to like album 3 and she'll create something. It'll be like incredible. Like it's one of those things where she'll just keep getting better and better. Like one of those artists who will just keep going and going. So big fan. What's the track name again? Let's have a little gander listen.
So the EP is Feeling Lucky ? That's probably a reference to Google's search function, I imagine. And this is Same Damn Luck from that EP.
Jake, something has happened. Jake, something has happened.
This Bob Marley reissue is so high fidelity. God, it's crazy, isn't it?
Jake, Bob can wait. Bob
He's
can wait.
Waited
something
long
else
enough.
has happened. Oh, yeah, probably too long. Have you seen him over there? Jesus, state of him. Something else has happened. And what I mean by that is there's been a surprise album that has landed. And the surprise album, you won't believe this, it's from someone with form on this. It's Taylor Swift.
I love this pantomime that you've done when the album got announced like on Thursday. We record this on Friday and it doesn't go out till Monday. Like the big secret that's literally been out for 5 days by the time people have 3 days.
Also, by the time everyone listens to this, Taylor Swift's name will be in the artwork that we've got out with this. So the ruse and the drama has really sapped from my tree.
Yeah, it's just for you, really.
Yeah, I had some fun with it. But let's talk about Taylor Swift, Evermore. That's right. Taylor Swift dropping a second album in the space of 5 months. Wow. Dropping albums like it's nobody's business. Evermore she's described it as kind of like the sister record, if you will, to Folklore, which came out in July. We are going to talk about that and delve into everything about it. But first, let's have a listen to one track from it. This is Champagne Problems. We've all had them, haven't we, Jake? Am I right?
Yeah, my problem is I don't like it.
Well, more for me. This is Champagne Problems, Taylor Swift.
Midas touch on the Chevy door, November flush and your flannel cure. This dorm was once a madhouse. I made a joke, well it's made for me. How evergreen, our group of friends don't think we'll say that word again. And soon they'll have the nerve to deck the halls that we once walked through. One for the money, two for the...
Just like to clarify that, I don't like Champagne. I like that song. The song is very good. I was also going to make a joke about Evermore being called Evermore because Taylor Swift was standing in a pine forest for the last album and she's still there. So she's going to be there, Evermore. But I couldn't really think of a punchline. So
there it is. Let the listener decide on the view on that.
Build your own joke. It's like Lego.
Famously. So Evermore, obviously, new album from Taylor Swift, announced the day before, and kind of in a similar vein to Folklore and how that was kind of like surprise dropped.
I guess the Wi-Fi must just be really bad in the pine forest,
Maybe that's it.
Trying to tell people for months.
Someone get the geezer from the National on the phone, because he needs to get some sort of fiber optics in there. Sort the situation out, for the love of God, man. But obviously, I guess the first thing with this is, like you say, it's been described as like a sister record to Folklore. Like, the idea of like calling something like a companion album, I feel, does a disservice to like the newer album, doesn't it?
Normally it just means I had 18 songs, I put 11 on one album, and then I sort of scrambled around to fill up another one. So yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. A companion album immediately just makes you think of like, oh, the B-sides. You've got an album of B-sides.
Yeah. You didn't think they were good enough to be on the first album, and now you're just like, I'll just pile them on here. So I kind of feel I feel like that's a massive disservice to this album, because in a lot of ways, and don't get me wrong, I think I went into it as well being like, well, what is this going to be like? As in, like, if it's like, oh, we just kept writing and there's more stuff from these kind of like sessions, I'm in that mindset as well, thinking, well, is it just going to be? Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they'll be great, but is it just going to be like like offcuts, if you will? Because I really like Folklore. I think it's a really, really amazing album.
Great album,
yeah, amazing. And I was kind of like weary of it, but I think as soon as you kind of like start listening to this, you realise it kind of like stands on its own 2 feet in a lot of ways.
It's different enough, isn't it? I think it makes sense to call it a companion album, because she's obviously in the same forest, still lost. So there's the. Yeah, and I guess I think it's a companion album purely because all of her other albums, apart from Folklore, are so different. That's the thing, isn't it? If all of her albums had been this sort of folky slant, then this would be no more a companion album than any other album, because it's not that similar, but it's obviously so different to the previous stuff that it almost becomes a companion album just because the only one it is similar to is Folklore.
Yeah. It's easy to just kind of like slot it in, isn't it? And but I think the main kind of thing is like, obviously the difference in between the two albums, and I feel like this, Evermore is a record. It very much builds on obviously the Folklore kind of like groundwork, if you will, but it kind of like just expands on it. Like, it feels like it's an album where she starts bringing in kind of like fuller sounds, and kind of like, just kind of like completely builds on it, and to a point where it's a record that's, like I said, stands on its own 2 feet. But it's just like engrossing from start to finish. Like, I think it's one of those albums that you do need to listen to like a few times. I don't think it's that album where you like, like you put it on and you're just like, right, here we fucking go. Like, I feel like after multiple listens, it becomes great.
I think it's not so much multiple listens as it needs at least one proper listen before you can have it on in the background. Because if you have it on in the background, it does all sort of morph into just quite a pleasing, Taylor's wearing a plaid shirt again, Taylor can't come on the phone right now because she's in the woods. But if you actually give it time to listen to it, like, I think what she's doing, I think lyrically as well, is really fun. That's sort of moving towards these kind of fictionalized characters and just having fun with it, like in a brutal way. Like some of the storylines are pretty mad, aren't they?
It's definitely that. Like, it proper goes for it in a lot of places here. What I really like about it is, on that first album, on Folklore, it remember very clearly kind of like the big thing being like, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift and the National and Bon Iver. What's going on here? And I think a lot of people maybe going into it were a bit like, oh, like, what's this? This is different. Whereas this album, it all just feels so natural. Like, it all feels natural. I think maybe we've become used to this idea.
The first one was very much the bucket of freezing water, wasn't it? And then this one is now you just acclimatise to it. I think that 100%. Definitely benefits from that. People they saw the cover art and they went, oh, it's another one of those. So now this album can kind of be evaluated on its own in a way that Folklore, I think, will in the future. But the first takes on it were all obviously, what the fuck is going on here? Like, that's the big thing. I still would rather have Boney M than Bon Iver, but maybe that's just me.
Maybe that's the next album, to be honest.
I mean, to be fair as well, I'm not a fan of the National. I don't hate the National, but I've never actively listened to them or Bon Iver. And like, you can still tell they add a lot to these. This is the thing. I think Taylor definitely carries it, but seeing that list of contributors, a lot of people were like, "Oh, is this going to be a bit like, Taylor cosplays as some sort of like folky indie thing?"
Yeah.
And I think it's very impressive that she pulls it off completely naturally. This album does not sound like, "Oh, I want to do this." It's not like a passing fancy. Like, she's properly going for it. And the track, which I think we're going to play the Haim track, aren't we? Which I absolutely love. And I think that's just one of the best features I've heard all year in any genre. I think it's just so
works.
seamless.
Yeah. Yeah, it just works so well, and it fits nicely in the whole album as well. And I think, it is this kind of like, for me, this like evolution of Taylor in this kind of like, I don't know, this like new era for her in the sense of, and it also, I think this is the thing that people maybe can get lost in, is this idea of, oh, well, Taylor has suddenly changed, right? Well, actually, I don't think massively that she has. The songwriting has always been quite incredible. I just think people's preconceptions of Taylor Swift will be very much, oh, you're a pop star. You do your pop star thing, and that's what the pop star is.
Which I think has always struck a weird note with Taylor, because the earlier stuff wasn't that out and out pop anyway. Like, obviously, I think she is a pop star, and I think also, as much as that must be a kind of annoyance, like, this album would not be the worldwide smash that it definitely will be if it wasn't Taylor Swift making it, just because that's what draws
of course.
The people to it. And I think it is a big step and a big change from the massive pop stuff. But as you say, I think it's a natural change. It doesn't feel forced, and it doesn't feel like this has come out of nowhere. She's not come out and been like, I am now exclusively releasing techno music.
Yeah. See the next album, drops the Scooter collab. See what happens there. But no, I think what it does is it just shines a light on her songwriting again. We talked about this with Folklore, but what is just really nice is it feels so natural. It feels like, like you say, a growth on kind of like Folklore. And, for me, it's like, well, is this kind of like what Taylor Swift will now do from here on out? I don't know. I don't think so. I think she'll just dip and change. But what's quite good is she can be that artist who can jump between so many different styles, and it works so well. And ultimately, at the core of it is this incredible songwriting that she's able to create and do. And that's what shines the most in this album as well, is this just really amazing songwriting. But it's just incredible. I mean,
I think this is the year for it, isn't it? I think this is the other thing. If you wanted to pare it back a bit, which a lot of pop stars have done this year, but I think Taylor's just done it to the max, in that you couldn't, like, a shiny pop album released during lockdown or written during lockdown, it's going to feel forced. It's going to feel weird. And I think her writing something in lockdown, which is much more sort of cozy almost and introspective, and just slowed down and stripped back without being like, too, oh, I'm just here with an acoustic guitar. She's played it perfectly. And I think these albums are going to stand the test of time way beyond this odd year we've had. 100%. But I think this year has been so perfect for these albums, and like for the mood that these albums fits into.
100%. And like you say, I think it will last. Like, these albums do stand out. Like, I honestly think that in years to come, we'll look back on these albums and be like, this is a real, like, I don't know, like, golden moment for Taylor Swift. She's like completely nailed it, and kind of like showing, why she is, probably one of the best artists in the world right now. I do get this kind of like, I don't know, this weird feeling that she kind of like is one of these like great American songwriters that people will have acknowledged more because of these two albums. And she'll get the kudos that she should rightfully get because of these two albums. In a way that puts her alongside, I don't know, like some great American songwriters like a Springsteen, like a Tom Petty, these sort of artists. I think she definitely will fit into that now because of these two albums.
Definitely.
And it's just lovely to listen. It's lovely to listen.
It is.
So let's have a listen to another track. There's obviously a range of absolute, amazing songs on there, so obviously dive into the whole thing. But let's have a listen to that collaboration that you talked about a moment ago, Jake, which, so seamless. This is Nobody, No Crime with Taylor Swift featuring Haim.
And I noticed when I passed his house, his truck has got some brand new tires, and his mistress moved in, sleeps in Estee's bed and everything. No, there ain't no doubt. Somebody's gotta catch him out. 'Cause I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. I think he did it, but I just can't prove it. No, nobody, no crime.
Interestingly, very similar plot to Goodbye Earl by the Dixie Chicks. But I think they kill Earl. They kill Earl in that one, whereas in this one, obviously, slightly different.
They do not.
But
for a second, I thought you were gonna. For a second, I thought you were gonna say the plot to "My Name Is Earl," the famous US comedy show.
I just get it wrong and think it's called Goodbye Earl for some reason.
It's crossing off the list.
It's a similar plot to My Name Is Earl, except you replace the list with a cheating husband and Earl with Taylor Swift, and I guess then you could replace. I guess Crabman would be the mistress in it. I don't know where the brother fits in. Great show.
Moving away from being the only people talking about My Name Is Earl in 2020.
Well, the issue is they just cancelled it without an ending, didn't they? And now they're all into Scientology, so it's all a bit weird, isn't it?
It's gone now. It's gone.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, Evermore. Out
you ever
now.
play the Tony Hawk game where you could play as the guy from My Name Is Earl? I think it was Tony Hawk's Underground 2. Or Thug 2, as it was acronymized to.
Sorry, I didn't.
Is anyone still listening? Is anyone still listening? No. Okay, moving on.
Is anyone still listening?
I feel like knocking on the glass. Hello?
Anyone? Tap, tap. My Name Is Earl. Again, if you'd like to sponsor the show, we are open to this. If you're doing any reissues.
Or E4, which I believe broadcasts most of it in the UK. Happy to take it from you.
No problem.
Jamie, speaking of E4, which had a jingle, lots of other things have jingles, and the tweets of the week as a jingle, which you often
I don't know
sing.
why we haven't recorded this yet. Why have we not recorded this yet?
The recorder doesn't pick up the volume. It doesn't work. The scientists are baffled, but you're just going to have to keep doing it. They said you're too talented for it, so you better keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, that's quite nice, isn't it? Boosts the confidence, doesn't go amiss. Perks me up. Okay.
And you're going to need to be perked up for this.
Sorry, I just coughed.
I know.
Of the week. Oh, the year is really closing, isn't it? I can feel my
at the end
throat
sounded
closing.
like we had modulated your voice to go higher. You sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks at one point there, or just Alvin, I guess. Is Alvin one of the Chipmunks? He is, right?
Yeah. Well. Don't know. I've never seen the films.
No, me neither.
Why
I
would
just
it be
assumed.
Alvin? It wouldn't be Alvin and the Chipmunks. It would be the Chipmunks, wouldn't it?
No, I think it's sort of like
he's the leader.
Yeah, I can't think of any bands, but bands do it, right? Like Lucia and the Best Boys, know?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. They are all musicians still, aren't they? It's not like they're very different.
Although I'm not sure. What would your band be called if you had a backing band? Jamie Muir and the
Jamie Muir and the Dingle Dongles. I feel.
Oh, lovely.
That's quite wholesome.
That's nice. Yeah, sure. Quite wholesome.
Jake, tweets of the week. What is about?
Fine.
What
Fine.
is
I won't tell you what my band would be called. Fine. I'll just talk to you about tweets. All business here. Straight into the tweet. No. So we've got a tweet here. No, it sounds silly now. I don't want to talk about it.
Wait, what's in the Dingle Dongles? I'll beg your fucking pardon.
Jake Hawks and the hot Henkelbergs. Jake Hawks and the hot Henkelbergs. Don't know why that came into my mind, as it did, but that would be the name of my band. Yeah, come on, Jake Hawks and the hot Henkelbergs. Maybe the hot Hasselhoffs, and I'll get David in. but no one would know he's in. They'd be like, "Is the real David there? Who knows?" And then, just at the end of my set,
1989 all over again.
Exactly. At the end of my set, he'd tear his mask off and he'd come to the front and he'd scream out, "Looking for freedom!" And the Berlin Wall would come down again. Where were we? There was a tweet or something? I kind of lost track.
Yes, tweet of the week, Jake. What's about?
Just the one this week. Step up your game, fans of Twitter. Or if you are good at Twitter and we just don't ever look at your feed, just send one. Say, look, I've done a good tweet. Yeah. Honestly, we won't mind.
Just drop us a line.
Just let us know. Promote yourself. Back yourself. Jade Bird.
Twitter's a big place.
Has tweeted, Ed Sheeran was just a normal guy who met a genie.
Interesting.
What do you think?
I haven't thought about
what
that
do you think would be the three things he wished for? Like what? Success or like fame? I guess.
No. Number one, loop pedal.
Needs
that. Needs that. Number one, loop pedal. Well, this is it with a genie's wish. You're like, I would like success, or I would like.
Yeah.
Or you're asking
so
for,
do you think success and talent are separate in those wishes?
I guess technically they would be, but like, if I was him, I'd be like.
Thing is with Ed Sheeran, right? I'm not going to say anything bad about him, but you put him next to George Clooney, and it's very obvious he didn't wish to be incredibly good looking, right? That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying he's horrifically ugly. I'm just saying he's an average looking guy, isn't he? Like realistically, that's not genie. Yeah. That's not genie face, is it? That's not genie face.
That's not an insult. That's not an insult. He would admit as well.
He must have had to vote. He must have had to wish. I said vote then, like it was a genie election. He must have had to wish for success and for talent separately because he's filling up his wishes with something before he's got to looks. Success, talent, and a loop pedal. I think would be the three.
And a loop pedal. It's the famous things. Yeah. Do you think he also? I feel like whilst a genie's wish would have been, the loop pedal, success, talent. His transaction with the devil, you'd argue, would be Galway Girl. Am I correct? Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. Galway Girl is one of those songs
get all these.
It's one of those songs that like everyone seems to hate, but it's incredibly popular and always on the radio. So it's like we all made a deal with the devil somehow. Like I don't think anyone really loves Galway Girl, but it's just everywhere and it just keeps doing really well. Who knows?
We're happy with it.
I went to Ireland because my girlfriend is Irish, and on the radio in Ireland they were playing the Ed Sheeran version of Galway Girl, and I feel like that is definitely like who has the gun to your head that you, of all people, are thinking this is the superior. Like I can appreciate in this country that a lot of people haven't heard many versions of Galway Girl, but like. As an Irish radio DJ, you must be aware of other versions of Galway Girl that you could play. They also absolutely love George Ezra, though. So, I can vouch for that.
I mean, who wouldn't?
That's a good choice.
Who wouldn't, to be fair? George Ezra, George Ezra's good stuff. I mean, George Ezra doesn't need a genie wish. George Ezra just... No. Be you, George.
George Ezra's too nice. The genie gave him 3 wishes. He's like,
lovely man.
Mate. You need him more than me.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
You need them more than me. Exactly. Well, respect to the man.
What do you
Ed
want?
Sheeran, he's gone, I'll fucking have all of them, mate. Give them here.
And more. I wish for more wishes. And the genie's like, he can't do that,
in his
mate.
Back garden.
He can't.
The genie's there.
Yeah, the genie's mowing the lawn at the moment.
The genie's asking for the wishes now. Ed's like, look, you're asking off me now. I'm bigger than you. Doing the business.
Bigger than genies, as the Beatles famously once said.
Bigger than Jeannie Simmons off of famous band Kiss. Good on them.
Yeah.
Wonderful stuff. I mean, it's a good question that Jade has obviously brought to our attention. And maybe she's thinking maybe we can find some sort of genie that, we could all get involved with. So Jade, if you are listening, we'd be interested in a genie. What would be your 3 wishes, Jade, from a genie?
I'd like it if it only rained at night. That'd be nice, because then in the day it's always sunny, isn't it? It's a shame. It's a shame that the bees.
Such a good pick.
It's a shame. It's a shame that the bees are disappearing. So, like, I wouldn't wish for them all to come back, because they might all come back at once, and that'd be quite scary. So, I'm just going to wish for them to like have more legal protection to fight back. Okay. I don't know what that would entail.
Very specific.
Something like that.
All right, I rate it. Yeah.
And then the third wish would be I tell you what, actually, I wish my fingernails always stayed the same length, so I didn't have to cut them. What about you, Jamie?
Incredible pick. I think mine would be, I would like to live in like the Muppet studio with all the Muppets about.
Of course.
But I would I would like that to exist as a place, and I live there, and I'm knocking around with the Muppets.
That'd have to be at least 2 wishes, wouldn't it? Maybe all 3.
I'd happily do 2 wishes to make that happen. I'd happily do 2 wishes to make that happen.
2 wishes on that. You have to wish it exists, and then you have to wish that you lived there.
Right, I'll have both of those wishes to make that happen.
Yeah, you got one left.
And then one last wish. I wish I was. It changes all the time, but I kind of wish that I could skateboard now and then.
Yeah,
because now and then. I just quite like the idea of, you know, you're going down a hill, you're doing an ollie, you're doing a 360, a flip of the kick.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I think
I tell you what,
it'd be quite a nice skill to have.
Jamie, I would do all of that for you if I could. I also would like to change my wishes. I wish I was a little bit taller. I also wish I was a baller, and I wish I had a girl who looked good. I would call her.
Well, Jeannie, if you are listening and you want to sponsor the show with 6 wishes between us, we're more than welcome. Let's have a listen. This is change the track. For the love of Christ. This is Jade Bird. This is Head Start.
Really nice that we didn't have to play Galway Girl there. The genie's powers must be waning. Right,
thank God.
That's more than enough of us talking nonsense, Jamie. These people have lives. So should we get a couple of predictions out the way and then clear out and start decorating the studio for the big Christmas special? So what's your prediction?
We've got a lot of work to do.
Jamie?
My prediction over the next week, I think it's, you know, we're getting near the end of the year. We're, you know, getting towards Christmas time and all of that. I am concerned, but I unfortunately must predict that the cast of Mrs. Brown's Boys, famous TV show here in the UK, will unfortunately start a post-punk band, and they'll be releasing a record within the space of a few weeks, and music as we know it will crumble, and all we'll be left with is Mrs. Brown's Boys and their band playing in venues up and down the UK.
That's bleak.
It's been a hard week, Jake. I won't lie. It's been a long week. But hey, don't worry. I'm going to go have a bath after this, so maybe I can cleanse that nastiness off me.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Scat it away. Jake, what about you? What do you think is going to happen?
I think Professor Green will get a new coffee table, and it'll be slightly wonky, but it'll just fold up a piece of paper and put it under it, and it'll be perfect first time, and it'll really make his day.
Professor Green. Do you know him personally?
Just the thought of Professor Green is enough to make you laugh. That is Very fair, Jamie. So that's it for another week.
Good on him. Yes.
We love you all. And we'll be back next week for a Christmas special. And just before we go, if you are worried about maybe having a bit too much to drink over the Christmas period, drink bottles of beer instead of the big cans, because you're having less with each bottle, but it still feels like you're having the same amount.